The mice in my bathroom. The mice in my bathroom. The mice in my bathroom.
Mice in my bathroom.
The mice in my bathroom.
Mice in my bathroom.
The mice
In my bathroom. Mice in my bathroom.
For a long time I never noticed them. I didn't know they were there at all. And then by chance I saw one, hurrying around the wall. It was most odd, and I couldn't be sure, for it disappeared midst the water and steam. But I was certain I saw it, and now it was gone. I was fully aware it wasn't a dream. And I searched the tiles from bottom to top, but that mischievous rodent had left the scene. I saw it again when I next took a bath. I studied the tile pattern carefully, and there he was, in full flight. He'd concealed himself so artfully. That he wasn't meant to be there was clear, for the tile designer, with skill and panache, had carefully drawn water droplets and smears. Not mice for cover attempting to dash. Then suddenly my walls, to my horror and fear, with a plethora of mice, broke out in a rash. They were there on almost every tile, mice running round and round my bathroom, surrounding me in dizzying circles. I couldn't chase them out with a mop or a broom. Then I noticed an anomaly where, upside down, the tiles lay. Aha, I thought, for that was bound to put an end to the rodent's play. But it was just his playmates. There they were, upside down, coming back the other way. There was no respite to their headlong race, leaving me a spectator in despair. Frowning, they just ran on and on. Those blessed mice were everywhere. I fled. To the bedroom I retreated, and stood a while in thought and confusion. I don't mind mice in fields or in books, but I don't want 1,000 disturbing my ablution. What could be done? Retile the wall? Too drastic. There must be another solution. And then I remembered that erstwhile youth, hiding under the covers in that darkened room, for fear of the Martians, which, without any proof, I thought must be prowling around in the gloom. I hadn't seen the saucer land, but the TV had made it convincing that life on Mars may most certainly exist, and the Earth they were bound to be visiting. And Quatermass, that early sci-fi show, demonstrated the aggression they'd be exhibiting. And where else would they gather to plot and to plan? Where else would the army fail to find them? Meeting in my room was an excellent scam. They could plot undisturbed ad infinitum. But what if they found out I was there? Kidnap me to avoid detection, and then I'd be treated as I'd read in the books, to ensure their continued protection, and no one would know I was brainwashed and controlled. My odd behaviour would be met with rejection. And so I lay trembling, hardly daring to breathe, listening for signs of their gathering forming, until slowly I awoke to the freshening dawn, and relieved, I knew it was morning. And so it continued for quite a few nights, my terror and fear exquisite. Then one day I realised, walking home from school, I'd overlooked an essential requisite. The Martians knew I was there all the time, even from their very first visit. That had to be true, I was certain, because of the way they must gain entry. They didn't come in through the window or door. That was too 19th century. I guessed they were teleporting into my room, and must locate every book, chair and table, and plot their position in dimensions 3 by scanning from every angle. For it wouldn't do to materialise, and with a lampstand to entangle. So if they've mapped my room so carefully, then surely they must have seen a cowering boy hiding under the sheets, trying vainly not to scream. So why hadn't they harmed me? Why was I left to sweat while fear transcends? I couldn't think of one reason except perhaps they wanted to be friends. And if that was so, then obviously I had to make amends. Should I risk breaking cover reaching out with a smile to see if their response was welcoming. I stood there pondering for quite a while. And really, I knew my horror was only my imagination running riot. Yet in the darkness of my room, I could not help my disquiet. I had to find a way to dispel this fear, so I decided then to try it. That night, when the room was dark, I looked around, unseeing and in fright, but forced a smile and said out loud,
Hi everyone, I've got to sleep. Good night.
And after that I let them get on with their meetings and the things they'd discuss. It was fun to think that secretly I'd helped the Martians understand us, but I don't think they liked us much, as quite soon they zoomed off further into the cosmos. But by accepting folk as they are, surely that's the lesson clear. For there's few that won't respond well if you're friendly, welcoming and sincere. So with this thought I returned to the tub, gave the mice a friendly wave. It didn't stop them in their endless flight, but I'm sure a smile they gave. And now I look forward to seeing them each time I go to bathe.